Let's see here. And we're telling your followers. And we're live. What is up? Yes. Tully and Jaron and Nicole. This is great. Welcome, guys. Kyle JK. Well, hello. What's up, Jaron? How you doing, buddy? Lisa, hello. This is great. Everybody's here today. All right. So, guys, I love it. This is getting really fun. You know, every day I wake up freaking out that I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Every day I freak out as I work out and as the clock ticks down. Every day I freak out as I'm putting it together. And then I go live and then you guys start pulling in and I'm like, this is rad. Bowser, good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. Right on. I hope San Diego's doing all right. Somebody says, Mike Snell, thank you for changing my life. Well, thank you for allowing us to help out with that. You did all the heavy lifting, buddy. We were just there to cheer you on. That's how we do it at the Art of Charm. All right. This is great. It has. I'm good. All right. Well, that's fantastic. All right, guys. So as I was putting it together for this morning, I was trying to figure out what I was going to talk to about today, but I got it figured out. And there's a couple things, but you know, I'm going to tie some things into the Yes Theory episode that we dropped yesterday. Oh, look who it is. It's LA Jen shows up today. Well, hello, LA Jen. So this week we dropped the Yes Theory episode and it was great. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. They're incredibly talented young guys and they put out a lot of content. And this is what I'm going to tie today's episode into. But before we get to that, I had some other things that I wanted to get to. So one of the points of doing that episode is they have a huge YouTube following. And for the Art of Charm, we've been putting out YouTube videos for since we've been a company. There is, I don't know how many years of content there is there. If you guys enjoy our shows, every one of them is archived on YouTube. You can go and find those, especially all the Toolbox episodes. Interviews with David Goggins, Eric Weinstein, Kobe Bryant. And I've always, AJ and I could never figure out YouTube business. We just never had any of our videos get traction. But then again, yesterday I had spent another 6 hours in redoing titles and descriptions and tags. I think I got it worked out now. But anyway, the Yes Theory guys, they got their start by putting together 30-day challenges. And they're a bunch of Canucks. They're from Quebec, I believe. And it started out as this challenge to do these challenges for 30 days. And of course, the show had blew up. Well, thank you for the super heart, Jen. I appreciate that. And the show took off. And now they've been able to parlay that show into an incredible movement about just saying yes to life, saying yes to things that make you better. And what we've been doing on our show for the last 15 years is about the same thing, of helping you enjoy that journey to living life, to saying yes, to getting out there. It's incredibly important to our well-being. And the more you live life, the more you're going to enjoy waking up. The more you're going to look forward to the day, the more you're going to be able to create wonderful relationships with friends and family, which makes all of this worth living. I mean, think about life without family and friends. And it's nothing that I want to be a part of. And when you say yes to life, you also say yes. You help other people say yes. You influence them. And we're going to need all of us together as we go into our new world that we're going to create and make it a place where everyone wants to take part, where everybody is excited to wake up every day. But it's going to take us leading from the seat that we're in, saying yes ourselves, and then pulling everyone along with us. When people start talking smack, when we say yes to new things, well, we don't get angry. We don't block them. We just ask them, why aren't you? You could come along too. Now, I was laughing because I had a friend who wrote me and said that he had seen one of these episodes and he thought it had taken a gloomy tune. Now, I admit that sometimes I can get onto some heavy topics. I think that's what makes this show fun. And what I want to do with it is challenge myself and you guys to think a little bit outside the box. So I'm going to push and pull some emotions around. And the only way to do that is to be a little bit heavy-handed with my language at sometimes, but also to bring up ideas that are slightly uncomfortable. That what challenges us to use our logical brain to override the emotional one. Listen, the emotional brain does a lot of great things for us. It gets us excited. Makes us fall in love. It allows us to enjoy art, music, literature, film to an incredibly high degree. And then when we get moved by these things, we can look at them logically. We can break them apart. We can look at all the little components that added up to what allowed our emotions to really start flying. But that takes the childlike innocence out of it. Free candy, perfect amount of heavy for me. Well, thank you. Yes, that's what I wanted this show to be about. Stuff that matters. And when things that matter, we need to sometimes talk about things that are uncomfortable. But if there's so much what we would consider magic in the world, because it allows us to feel so amazing and aspire and be inspired to create and do so many wonderful, beautiful things. And if we continually unpack those ideas, we rip them apart, we look at all their little components, it takes the mystique, it takes the magic out of it. We should have a healthy hand of both of those things. And it is with a healthy hand of both of logic and emotion that allows us as human beings to be able to build everything that is around us. The civilization that we have constructed for us, it has been inspired and brought with energy through all the emotions we feel being inspired. And then we logically look at things that emotionally stir us up and figure out how to build, how to create. The amount of engineering that goes into a skyscraper is ridiculously amazing. And for us to look at it with an incredible emotional wonder. And then for some of us, we look at it a little bit more analytically and start ripping out all the components that allowed that structure to be what it is. That's being a human being, to be emotionally stirred up and then logically analytical to analyze the components that allowed us to get that way. And that's a wonderful thing. So that brings me to the topic that I wanted to start with today, which is yesterday I taught you guys the coolest listening trick that I know. It is about the 5 levels of listening. And one of the parts of it that I didn't get to was there is a trap laid out in one of the 5 levels that I want you to understand so you don't fall for it, which is incredibly important. All right. Do you guys remember what the 5 levels of listening are? Right. So remember, we're going to look at these we're going to look at them from a emotional level and a logical level. All right. I'm sweating today, and I don't know if that's my apartment's hot or my ring light's hot, but that's how it's going to have to be. All right. So let's go back to the 5 levels of listening, and then I'm going to show you guys where the trap is so that you can avoid it. Because when you understand the 5 levels, you are able to communicate on a super level that most people are not. And it also gives you clarity and information that you wouldn't normally have if you weren't listening to all 5. Now, number 1, who is sending you the message? If Animal here is going to talk to me, I know that it's my co-host. It's my buddy, right? I know who it is. I know it's my relative. I know it is my friend. That is who is sending me the message. What is the info or message that is being sent? That's the data. That's the content of the message. Both of those are very easy to recognize. Those are the 2 levels that even a child is able to pick up on. Okay? What do you suggest to show? You're listening on a call. We'll get to that. So the first 2 levels are who is sending the message and why? What is the content of that message? That's easy. Those are the 2 levels that all of us naturally pick up on. We learn that from a very early age. Number 3, what it means to the sender to send you that message. Do they want you to have directions to the gas station? Do they want you to know that you have coffee stain on your shirt? What is the information that they're trying to give you? Now, there is a trap laid there. And because we're human beings, we can get in trouble with reading into the message. Why is it easier? Why is it easy for us to read into the message? Because there are, as amazing as our brain is and all of everything that it is able to create from a structural, analytical level, everything that we're capable of. The problem area is that we also have, we connect dots where there isn't any dots. And we have to be conscious when we're doing that. If we're conscious of when we're doing that, we can stop ourselves. So here in number 3, what does it mean to the sender to send it to you? If you're reading in to the message to a degree where you are reading their thoughts, you've gone too far. You are connecting dots that you don't have. You are making a leap. So you want to keep it simple. All right. So look at the message on a very surface level. Is it content? Is it an answer to a question? If the message seems to be outside of the scope of what you were asking or the conversation, usually the conversation is about the other person. They're speaking for themselves rather than speaking to you. And if they're speaking for themselves, it's usually a rationalization or they're working out a problem vocally for themselves. And lots of people do this. They rationalize in their conversation to you so they don't have to do it to themselves. That is a whole nother ball of wax. But that's the pitfall you want to look at. How do you avoid this pitfall? You want to look at probability theory. Probability theory is, if you objectively look at the conversation, what is the probability that they are rationalizing to themselves the conversation? Two, is it just, are they giving you the information that you asked for? If you pull yourself out like that, objectively, it's very easy to see the trap. Making assumptions and having expectations will lead to failure. Yes, Tully, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you make those leaps, then you're reading too much into it. And so that's the trap you have to look out for. Other than that, our next part is, what were your thoughts on the message? That's an easy one. That is very surface level as well, which is, how did I feel about it? What is my emotional response? That does not deserve an immediate response to the person. But what it does deserve is you to recognize the emotional response that you are having to the message. That's perfectly fine. You are an emotional creature. We can't stop that. That's just being a human being. So you register the emotional response. You don't have to act accordingly or act because of it. You're going to have an emotional response. You might even be compelled to respond with an emotional response. Don't do it. Right? If you can just sit with the emotion, it is best to do it that way, especially if it compels you to act out in a way that you, as a high value person, don't want to behave. That's a whole nother thing. We'll get into that as well. But you know the behaviors and actions that lead to being a high value person. It is our emotional response that has us acting outside of those rules that we have set for ourselves, those behaviors and actions that are of a high value person. We all act as high value people when we're just sitting around comfortable. But when your emotions start pushing you around, that's when things start to fall apart. That is where your programming comes into play. So, and then lastly, the message. Did you receive the message they wanted you to receive? There's another question that you have to answer. If you think that there's a possibility of a few different messages, that's all right. Sit on all of them. When your emotions calm down, you'll be able to look at them for what they are, and you'll be able to weave your way through them. But do not connect dots that are not there. That is called reaching. That's when Tully brings up the idea of making assumptions or putting on expectations. That's when we start doing that. You know, I know some people who tend to, not only do they put expectations on people, when those people don't act in the way that they have projected onto them, then they get angry at the person. Well, it's not that person's fault. You were the one that put those expectations on them. Where did you get those expectations? Why did you place it on them? And then when they act out of the character that you've built for them, you get angry. People do this all the time. Until we get triggered, we need to learn our own triggers to better deal with our emotion regulations. Absolutely, Tully. That is exactly what I'm saying. We have to understand ourselves to begin the programming so that when we are put in those situations, we act accordingly to the expectations that we place on ourselves. This is why everyone loves to think that they're a high value person or a calm, cool, collected. Everyone is, until shit hits the fan. Once that happens, then everyone's true character comes out. It is upon those moments that you have an opportunity to program yourself. You know, people tend to avoid those things because they don't like the person who shows themselves in those moments. Well, if you don't like the person who shows themselves in that moment, that is up to you to reprogram yourself so the person you do want to show up does. You know, that's the beauty of being a human being. Once you recognize how limited and how simple your software is, well, then you can then start doing the programming to fix it, to strengthen it, to make it work in the way that you would like it to. That's how amazing is the brain to be able to do that. But what that takes work, that takes effort, and that's where most people fall short. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to put that effort in. And so if you're listening to this right now, you love self-development. You like psychology. You love human behavior. And we get to have fun with all this stuff. Could you imagine what life would be like? I call them normies, right? The normal people who just go around in their lives being pushed around by their emotions and never truly working through them, putting together processes to override the emotions that push them around. I used to be like that in my 20s. You get bored of that at some point, or you just surrender to them. To surrender to those, that's the war that we all agree to sign up for. The fight for our life worth fighting for. That's for us. That is for us all in the self-development world. Damn, normies. That's right, Jose. Sheeple. Yes, Tully. They are sheeple. Blood, Sweat, Silks. Hello. A lot of people make the mistake being bullying or authoritative as logic, and it's not. Exactly. All right. So, Hippie of the Hills. Aye, aye, Captain. Well, yes. Thank you. I'm the captain of the ship today, I guess. Thank you for that comment. All right. So I had a question. I want to get to that. And then perhaps I could get to bringing somebody on who's requesting. But I promised this person I would answer this question today. So this comes into play with the new episode The Art of Charm dropped out this week, which is Yes Theory. The question is, what do you recommend as a way to get over rejection? Now, I'm sure you guys have heard this talk a million times, but I'm going to lay it out a little bit differently today. I want you to look at it from a very analytical place, because a lot of us tend to get stuck in our analytical thinking that forgoes us just throwing ourselves into the fire and getting burnt, because that's the only way we learn not to play with the fire. Rejection is much in the same manner that you have to just throw yourself in and get the worst of what's coming to you so that you can see it's just not that bad. And then you can start learning and making mistakes that allow you to enjoy the experience. Let me give you an example. When we first started doing video for The Art of Charm, and this was years ago, there's no way. Look at this. This is I'm a sweaty mess today. There is no way that I would be able to do what I've been doing for the last few weeks since COVID, of going live to you every day, if I haven't worked myself up to it. This was already a giant undertaking to go live every day at 8:30 on the weekdays for you guys, to come up with content, to work with all this tech. It has been, those who have been following have been watching this train wreck for weeks, and it's gotten to the point where it's fun. Now, I remember the first time that we did a live segment. This was years ago. And I finished up. We were sweaty. I was nervous. It was horrible. I wanted to make sure I looked good. There was all these particulars that just didn't matter. And every week that we went to do a live video, I got worked up. I was freaking out. I was paying attention, all these stupid things that didn't matter because there wasn't much of it. So this is where the logic part comes in. If you can override your emotional response to rejection, then you don't have to worry about it. So then what you want to do is you do so much of something that you just don't care about it anymore. So my point, as we continue to do live videos, the things that were working me up that I cared so much about were falling by the wayside because there was other things that were more important, like the enjoyment out of it, like helping people, like creating content for the sake of creating content. When you can move beyond that, the importance of why you're doing things leads you to throw yourself in the fire rather than the little things that keep you from it. So the reason that we tend to fear a lot of things is we just don't have the amount of experience. And just think about it. Think about everybody who has already done what you want to do. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's do some photography work. Maybe it's play on stage in a band. Maybe it's go live every morning. These things have been done a million times. So you're not doing anything new. You're not really walking into the unknown. The only unknown that you're walking into is your own. And know that it's going to be difficult. Put on your sense of humor hat and be ready to laugh at yourself, because that's what's going to happen. And that will allow you to roll through it. After you throw yourself into new things for a few times, you get so used to that experience, you start to look forward to it. This is what adrenaline junkies do. This is what self-development people do. And if you're watching this, you're already interested. So the more you look for doing new things and new challenges, the more you're going to disregard this idea of rejection. And that's really all it is. It's an idea. It's not a real thing. The idea of rejection and the idea of failure are figments of your imagination. Any of us who are experienced enough in self-development to have done this for a long time realize that those are just terms that we have conditioned ourselves to keep us from doing new things. Failure is not failure. It's learning opportunities. What did you learn from that? Rejection isn't rejection. You had learned from it. You had moved on from something. These are things that just hold you back. And you cannot move forward if you're holding on to anything. Chantel, 1984, it is exposure therapy on every aspect of it. And that's one of the best things about exposure therapy. Just a little bit every time. The first videos that we did live were like 5 minutes. I answered a question and I quickly ran off stage. Now I do 30-minute monologues. And I don't like the sound of my own voice. I am not one of those people. I do it because I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy the opportunity it gives me to connect and to document what is going on with myself and the world during COVID, and an opportunity to help the company and you guys. There is too many wins to not do it. So that's what I have to say about that. So I'm going to go through these really quickly. Let's say hello to somebody today. Who do we got? All right. Hello, Amory. Armory. Nope. Uh-oh, we brought somebody in. Hi. Oh, she left. I guess we scared her. Somebody waited for 5 minutes to go live. We put Armory on and she quickly ran out. Wow. All right, Ad Canuck. I love your videos and look forward to them. Thank you very much. Let's go through these. Thank you guys. I had a great time today. You guys are so rad. Want to suggest a show you were listening to on the call. Non-vulnerable filters. You'll have to send me that in a DM, my friend. I'm not quite sure I know what that is. 16 strong today. I don't know what that means. Making assumptions. Yes, Tully. That's a comment I read. Someone gets triggered. Emotional regulations, blood, sweat, tears. Oh, and guys, if you really enjoyed the 5 levels of listening and want to learn more about that, you can find all that great stuff of emotional bids, compelling conversations, great storytelling, and networking from your own house. You can find it in the Art of Charm Communication Accelerator. It is in the link tree on Instagram. It is in the Twitter bio. You can find it on our website. It has all the best bits from our online classes, in-person training, and all the experts that we have interviewed for over the last 15 years put in a great communication joint venture for you guys. So join us in the accelerator. All right, Bowser. Thanks, Johnny. Going to bust out the notebook again. All right, guys. Cheers. Alvin, thank you for tuning in from Russia, from Crimea, my friend. Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow. See y'all later, Jen. See you on Twitter, my friend.